Today I'm breaking down the two types of women I see in my world. Both are ambitious, both are brilliant, but only one of them is selling consistently with their content. If you've been showing up and you've been creating content and you even have been launching and sales still feel harder than they should, especially with your content, this episode will show you why. I see so many women being chained to launching and they only make money and sales when they are launching, and in between, no. And I'm not even going to talk about funnels today. I'm not going to talk about that. So I'm going to really talk about content and really for me, it's so important to not be chained to anything. Like I don't want you to be chained to launching. Hi, I'm Gwen, the strategy queen. I help coaches and experts build evergreen sales funnels, advanced strategies, advanced sales system that bring in consistent income without having to sell 24/7 or be glued to their phones. And today we're talking about the two types of women I see in my world and why one group sells consistently with their content and one group isn't. In my world, so we have those two types of women. And here is the big misconception I hear every single day, and something that you may have said yourself. If I just post more, I will sell more. If people will see me more, I will be more visible, I will sell more. I'm going to very much be blunt here. You can post as much as you want. It's not going to make you more sales because it's not about the quantity. The quantity is going to be very helpful for you to know what your audience is resonating with in terms of content. It's going to be very helpful for developing your skill of creating content, but it's not going to be helpful to make more sales. It's not because you post more that you make more. Okay. The real problem here isn't also your consistency, okay? The real problem or your visibility, because you already have imagine having at least 200 people, having 200 people in front of you, you tell them your message and no one is buying. The problem is the message, okay? All of those people are here, they came here to listen to you, which is your Instagram account. Like, for example, here, they're all here following you, but what you're saying is not resonating for them. They're not like, oh, I absolutely want this. Because the problem is your messaging, okay? It's the message, what you're saying. If your content is blending in, and I just had a conversation 2 minutes ago, we finished a call with one of my clients, and she was saying you go on my website is beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful, but everything that I say on it is so generic. And all of this, and if you bring the same vibe on your content, it's all blending in. And it might be inspiring, okay? It might be inspiring, but they're definitely not going to move to pay you, okay? And one big problem is to start talking to more people because you're like, oh, but I wanted those people to be my ideal client, let's say. And my message is not landing with them, it looks like. So I'm going to talk to more people. And then you start talking to more and more people, and it works even less. So remember here, it is not about, we don't want to blend in. We don't want to be inspirational. We want to be moving our people. Okay. And we definitely don't want to speak to everyone. Okay. We want to speak to people who actually want to invest in what we have to offer. And what we have to offer is an expression of our own genius. And of course, it doesn't matter how much we post if we don't know how to articulate what is our genius. The women who work with me, we don't launch to survive. Okay, we launch to amplify our work, to amplify our visibility, to amplify everything. But we don't launch to survive. We don't launch because we need to make money. So here is something that I want to share with you. I'm going to cut it in 3. Okay, so here are the 3 biggest mistakes I see in messaging. That I see women not making sales from their content. Okay, so we have women who are making sales, but not from their content. Okay, you may be making sales, but not from your content. And the problem here is that you sound like everyone else. And a reflection I want to bring forward to you is if I can swap your content with someone else's and no one will notice, you've got a messaging problem. This is, I won't say like tolerable. this is fine, okay, if it's less than half of your content, because I don't want neither to be completely black and white here. Like sometimes what you will say, if there is no storytelling here in your content, in this piece of content, it might be replaceable. But I want to challenge you in making this like rarer in your content, okay? But you don't want your content to be able to be swapped with someone else. So let's say if you're a nutritionist and you post something, could the nutritionist another one post this? If yes, messaging problem, and you sound like everyone else. Another mistake that I see is your content tends to build connection, okay, to be relatable, to connect with people, but is not creating demand. Being relatable is great, okay? Being relatable it's amazing, okay? It's amazing. We like to connect with people, but people don't need to see that you relate to them to where they are right now, okay? And that's why like sometimes I feel I see some content where people are like, oh my god, I'm so unrelatable because X, Y, and Z, you know, and sometimes it's a bit of a joke, and that's actually good content because you don't want to be relatable like to your dream client. Maybe there are some values that you have in common, there are things that you like that are in common, okay? Like when I share that I do yoga, if you do yoga, okay, we relate. But like my zone of expertise, no, you're not going to relate to where I am. I had a conversation with some clients like recently, and I was telling them about being relatable, and that was inside Elevate Mastermind. And I was telling them that, you see, like when I share content around me building my house, I build my house cash, no loan. What I make in my business, I build my house. Of course, I also have business expenses, and I invest in myself and in my business, you know, and I have a certain lifestyle. But this is how I build my house. Yeah. This is not relatable. Like I don't know anyone right now who is building a house, who is not taking any loans, with building the house themselves. So they're not buying a house, like they're building a house, like looking at absolutely everything that they want, and then they make some money in their business and they pay for it. I don't know anyone who does that. This is not relatable. Building like a 4-bedroom villa with infinity pool overlooking the ocean and the surf break, no, I don't think it's relatable. But you know what? Like, I don't think that's why like people are not going to hire me. Maybe even the opposite, actually. And you know why that? That's because we don't need to be relatable. Okay, you don't need to be relatable, especially on your zone of genius. Like for me, for example, my zone of genius is obviously not to be building houses, but my zone of genius is building businesses. Yeah. And that's why I've built multiple businesses. And when you look at where I am now, a lot of women are looking at this and are like, I want this. I want to have the ability, like my son is sick today, he just stayed home. I want to have the ability for me to be at home with my kids. I want the ability to have a 2-hour lunch. I want to finish work at 4 p.m. I want, to build a house overlooking the ocean. Yeah. And you see, like this, it's such a fine line, yeah, to create a business that is not just building connection, but is creating demand. And like my business creates demand because women see that I'm building this with funnels, I'm building this with content, I'm building this with launches, but I am building this not following anyone's rules. I am making my own rules. And yes, I'm building connection, but with positioning, okay? And because I have a strong positioning, my audience sees me as the obvious choice. And when you will have a strong positioning, your audience is going to see you as the obvious choice also. They're not going to see you as someone inspirational or someone they like what you're saying or you are liking the same thing. No. And it's not like, no, we are not in the same category, baby. Not in this way. Because for me, like I'm really I don't think there is I don't believe in hierarchy. I believe like we are all on the same level. We just have all very different zone of geniuses. And I actually just came back like a couple of weeks ago from an event in Canada where we were all like six, 7, 8 figures business owners. And at one point, like we were 20-ish. We were at one point like 20-ish in a circle, all holding our hands. And a few others, I've actually said the same, like where we kind of like opened our eyes. We were all closing our eyes, but we all peaked at one point and looking at everyone, and everyone is such a fucking genius. They are such a fucking genius, but no one has the same genius as me. So when I see all of these women, I see powerful women, but I don't feel in competition with any of them because we are all very different. We are all building category of one businesses, and our positioning, our messaging is very different. Okay, so this is also something that is very important for you to start like tuning in is, yes, I'm building connection, but I'm building demand. Okay. Not by being on a pedestal. Okay. But because I am the only me. I am the only one with my zone of genius. And it's not like just I'm being paid to breathe air, but I'm being paid because I have had all of the life experiences that I had, and because I had all of the wisdom that I built and all of the skills that I learned. Yeah. This is why people pay me now, not for me to like, I don't have to do any research of anything. I just have to share exactly what I know and like coach women on how to find their own way doing it. And it may sound like so simple. It is to me. But like after chatting with all of the women who were there, I could see gaps in their businesses that they're not seeing because we all have a different genius. I just had like the call I just had with one of my clients. She was like, oh my God, I suddenly have so much clarity. And it was all in front of me, but I could not see it. I could not see what I needed to be doing right now. And now she knows. And we spent just an hour together. The last mistake that I see is speaking to your whole audience instead of your buyers. Not everyone in your audience is ready to buy. Okay, this is something that I am hammering again and again and again because I see you talking to people who are in your audience, but they are not the one who are going to invest in your 2K offer. Most people are not ready to buy today, but you want to speak to people who are ready to buy today. And by the way, this is something we are going to do starting next week in Blow Their Mind Minimind. If you're not there yet, send me a DM because this is going to be a container that is insane. Like for 4 weeks, I'm going to be looking at your messaging and we're going to refine absolutely everything. So your content, your sales pages, your emails, all of this has a very cohesive message that is targeted to people who actually can pay for your services. If your content is written for the masses, you are not going to attract people who buy. Okay, you're going to attract likes. Oh yeah, you are inspirational. Yeah, but no, not sales. Understand that this is not about working harder on your content. Okay, it's really about sharpening the way your content positions you. One of my clients, she made a single shift in her content, literally one line change, and signed 2 new clients that same week because of this. She didn't post more. She didn't change her offer. Okay, her words shifted from connecting to people to creating demand. And her dream clients, they felt it immediately. And that's what turns your content into your best sales system. This is the standard inside my world. We don't rely on launches, okay, to survive. We decide when we sell, we decide how we sell, and we decide what freedom looks like. And to me, like that's really what it means, by the way, to be she who decides. And I'm bringing this on right now because this is a standard that you are also wanting. You don't want to be dependent on launches. You love launching when you want to launch, when you have the energy, when the offer, like when you want to be launching this offer, but you want to also be making sales every day from your content because you're posting content, you want to make sales. This is happening when you work on Blow Their Mind messaging. If you're ready to make this shift, and I don't know any of you who are not, in your business, so your content doesn't just inspire people, but actually make sales, that's exactly what we're going to do next week in Blow Their Mind Minimind. 4 weeks together, you're going to have feedback every single week on a sales page, pieces of content, your messaging. So you create messaging that makes your dream client hire you without hesitation and see you as the obvious choice. We start October 6th. The links is in the show notes. Bye, everyone.